Namaste. Indian Union Budget 2021-22 was like a never before budget, a unique budget in itself, in the background of once in a century catastrophe. This was what the Prime Minister assured us before the budget. During the budget presentation too, the Finance Minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, reassured us that was going to be a different budget. But budget to be good, what does that contain? Broadly, it should contain allocations which will generate income, employment, and strengthen the welfare of the people. So does the budget show higher allocations through social sector? Did it take the schemes and the plans to ensure the well-being of the people? So in a sense, the allocation should be adequate to generate, to tell you at the cost of reputation, income and employment. Did it do that? What was the size of the budget? It should spend high, we are telling. But what was the size of the budget? The size of the budget 2021-22 was 34,83,236 crore. Of course, the numbers are boring, but without number crunching, we can't justifiably say some allocation is high or some allocation is low. So please bear with me. Look at the budget size. The size itself is low, but how much is the increase over the revised estimate of previous year 2020-21? As we have seen, 2021-22 budget is 34,83,236 crore, and 2020-21 revised estimate was 34,50,305 crore. How much higher than the previous budget? 32,931 crore. So it is just 0.95% over the previous year's budget. Not even 1% hike. Was it high? In fact, the size of the budget has been dwindling. The government's expenditure over past decade and so has been coming down. 11 years back, 2009-10, the size of the budget was equal to about 18% of the gross domestic product. So if the budget size is of that level, then we can say the same level of expenditure is being maintained in relation to the gross domestic product generated in each year. But year after year, budget share in the GDP has been drastically coming down and settled at around 13% or so. But the latest budget, the 21-22, its share is a little high, all right. How much high? 15.62%. This is less than the immediately preceding budget. The current year's budget 2020-21 size was 17.71% for two reasons. That looks high, 17.7%, because of the COVID ravaged economy and high spending requirements of the government and the slackening growth. GDP has fallen down drastically. So on low GDP, a little high was seen last year. That was not really sufficient. It should have been much higher than that. When the budget size itself is low, how can the government meet the requirements of different segments? After the compulsory spending of the government, on which it has little control, in the sense that it can't avoid those spendings, like its establishment expenditure and then the interest payment obligation. On these two segments, Government's establishment expenditure, as we can see from the budget document, was 6,09,104. So little more than 6 lakh crore. Then the interest payment on the government's borrowing was 8,09,701 crore. So 6 lakh on establishment expenditure and 8 lakh crore rupees, not 6 lakh, 6 lakh crore rupees on establishment expenditure and 8 lakh crore rupees, a little more than that, on interest payment. These two items together add up to 14 lakh 18,000 crore rupees. So what is the residue out of 34.83 lakh crore? It is just 20 lakh crore, since these two items themselves are taking 40.7% of the government spending. Even if you look at the rupee go statistics, similar things are discernible. Now, total expenditure of the government, interest payment constitutes about, that 8 lakh crore constitute about 20% of the budget spent. And state's share in tax revenue is 16%. It's 20% for interest payment, 16% for state's tax revenue. It looks high, 16%, but in fact, it is lower than the budget estimate of 2020-21. It was 20%. Before that, the state government share was some 22-23%. Of course, let us get into that state governments not getting the due share in the tax revenue of the center separately, but here 20% interest payment, 16% state share in taxes, and then 10% finance commission and other transfers, and subsidies 9% and 5% pensions. The 60% this year out of the total budget expenditure, or 60 paisa in the budget rupee, going for these items where government doesn't have much freedom to reduce them further. The remaining 40% the government has to spend on central schemes, central sponsored schemes, and then the defense expenditure and various other spendings. So finally the government is left with not enough money to meet the requirement. For this, it should have expanded the overall expenditure. That it did not do. What did it do? To tell again, the higher than the previous year's budgeted expenditure was higher by 32,931 crore rupees, which works out to 0.95% higher, less than 1%. But in 1 year, what would be the rate of inflation? Will it not be much more than 1%? Then, does the figure show any increase in real terms? So, this being the case, the expectations of the people, how could it meet them? What are the expectations? Leave aside many other expectations. One sector which came into focus and getting everybody's attention is the health sector, healthcare. COVID had exposed the lack of preparedness of the health sector to meet the healthcare needs of the people. I need not reiterate here the trauma the people underwent, unable to meet the expenditure at the private hospitals. So the health sector infrastructure requires a boost, support from the government. How much did the government spend on health sector? So the finance minister was boastful of higher spending. She said she had allocated on health and well-being a high 2,23,846 crore. This high amount works out to 1% of the GDP. But this is not entirely going to the health sector alone. The other segments associated are also included in this. The Department of Health and Family Welfare is getting only 71,269 crore. That amounts to 0.3% of the gross domestic product. Then the health research, of course, it is important. That's also included in the health and well-being segment. That was 2,663 crore. I don't need to work this out in terms of gross domestic product. Then the Ministry of Ayush, that is Ayurveda, Unani, Homeo, Siddha, that department is getting 2,970 crore rupees. So that's the health sector, which includes the health research and Ayush, Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Homeo, altogether 76,902 crore. Not that high, 2.23 lakh crore. Then this health and well-being also includes vaccination, COVID vaccination expenditure of 35,000 crore, drinking water and sanitation, that is also brought in under this, rightly or wrongly, that is 60,000 odd crore, nutrition 2,700 crore, and financial commission grants for water and sanitation 36,000 crore, and lastly FC grants for health another 13,192 crore. So finally, the allocation that has been made to the health sector doesn't commensurate with the requirements of this sector. Then other sectors, what are the allocations? Let us see. See, government, the democratic government, the welfare state has certain duties, inalienable duties to protect public health, provide food, then education. At least these three things cannot be outside the realm of governmental responsibility. What are the allocations that the government has made for these sectors? Health, we have seen that it is a paltry sum. Nowhere does it matches the requirements that was laid bare by pandemic. So let us look at some important other sectors. Agriculture. Agriculture and allied activities, the sum allocated is 1,48,301 crore against the revised estimate of 2020-21 of 1,45,355 crore. 1,48,000 odd against 1,45,000. So 3,000 crore more. That needs no explanation to say that there is no change in the allocation to this important segment. Then education. In the revised estimate, it was 85,089 crore. It is a downward revision from 99,312 crore in the budget estimate of 2020-21. What is it now given? Against that 99,000 crore, 93,224. Although it is a little higher than the revised estimate, lower than the budget estimate. So the education too did not get its due share. Then rural development, very important segment, more important than other sectors in the background of the COVID and reverse migration to the villages. How much is given to this segment? 1,94,633, lower than the previous year's revised 2,16,342 crore. So rural development didn't get higher but lower. So also the subsidies, fertilizer subsidies have gone down from 1,33,000 crore, the figures that I have taken in the budget figures show, to 79,530 crore. And food subsidy also 2,42,000 odd crore against 4,22,000. Then defense spending and other things, we are not going into those details very much, but the defense got 3.47 lakh crore against 3.43 lakh crore. No increase. In a country of India's size and 4,000 increase is no increase, there is no increase in this. Then but why the parsimony? It is just on account of the fiscal deficit constraints of the government. The worry is not to raise the physical deficit, not to borrow, and the fear is not the sustainable development achievement goal, but sustainability of the borrowing. Those fears made the government to confine its expenditure or limit the expenditure to so low, although it said it would be expansionary, more spending, more money in the pockets of the people. How can that happen? The fiscal deficit target 6.8% of the GDP against 9.5% in the revised estimate 2020-21. So this concern made the government to cut on the allocations. Add to this, the government withdrawing from its responsibility and depending more on the private sector. What is the disinvestment target? The disinvestment target this year 21-22 is 1,75,000 crore. Although it could not realize anywhere near the budgeted 2,10,000 crore 2020-21. The amount realized was 32,000 crore only. And the actual in 2019-20 was 50,304. No, I am not recommending for the disinvestment of the public sector, not recommending for the privatization of the public sector. The public sector has come up with the public purpose. Any enterprise under the control of the government works towards the welfare of the people, the people's interest, the public interest. The private sector's goal is profitability. Government's also is profitability, but the profit definition of the government is and should be different. The social benefit, the social cost, these things are not seen in any private enterprise, and rightly so. And privatizing the institutions like insurance, banking, we have the experience what happened to these financial institutions when they were under the private control. We know the reason why the banks were nationalized. Now reversing the policy and going towards privatization is not in the interest of the people. Why should we privatize LIC even to the extent that the government intends to do? The initial public offer, government is looking at that, and then amending the Insurance Act 1938 to facilitate the foreign direct investment at a higher level. So these are not in the public interest. But still the goal is low spending from government side, privatization partly or fully, and government declared unequivocally, as can be seen in the budget speech of the finance minister, that the government wants to go for a large scale privatization. It wants to privatize all the public sector entities excepting a few. Not only does the government of India wants to privatize, it wants the state governments to privatize their enterprises and wants to give some incentives to such of the state governments which are coming forward to privatize their public sector units. And now reverting to the agriculture, what did the government do in the agriculture? The allocation is low, we have seen. Besides, as usual, it has allocated higher amount, higher credit to the sector big 16.5 lakh crore. But nothing goes out of the exchequer because it is the responsibility of the institutions, banks, commercial banks, cooperatives, and regional rural banks. And they dutifully show year after year that the high allocations government is making or intending or asking them or expecting them to provide loan to the farming sector, to the farm sector, they are doing it. But if you go deep into that, the credit is not reaching to the actual tillers of the land, the small and marginal farmers. Small and marginal farmers constitute the bulk of farming community. 85% of the farmers are the small farmers, and 40% are the tenants who do not get any credit. So this is also another futile exercise without bringing necessary changes to ensure the credit flow to the small and marginal farmers. While the budget allocations themselves are low, there is no guarantee that the government would spend at least to the extent it has earmarked for different sectors. There are examples of shortfalls of more than 1 lakh crore in the past. Please look at this table. Again, the realization of the spending goals are contingent upon the growth. Spending would be possible if the GDP grows at the targeted level. There are no strong hopes or hints that it would happen. Similarly, the revenue targets from different sources, tax and non-tax, unless revenues are realized as targeted, spending at the budgeted level is most unlikely to happen. So to conclude, the budget is unlikely to achieve the goal set to itself. I doubt that the budget is going to translate the government's goals, the 6 pillars, what it said in its budget, like health and well-being and inclusive growth and so on and so forth, because of spending restrictions and the people's expectation that lowering the taxes, direct and indirect taxes. We see no tax relief to the middle classes, income tax I am talking about, and the salaried. The IWASH relief, whatever that is given, like the senior citizens, and among them those who are above 75 years, and no benefit to them excepting a relief that they need not file the income tax return. That way on the income tax front there is no relief, and then no relief on indirect taxes, because whatever we see is the increase in the prices because of surcharges and cess. Here one thing while concluding I should also tell about the state's predicament. The budget leaves a lot of disappointment to the state governments too. One thing, their fiscal deficit also, the union government controls. It is now 4%, they can't go beyond that. They can't borrow. At the same time, Government of India doesn't provide from its coffers. The state share in gross tax revenue is just 30% because of the higher cesses and surcharges route. When the Finance Commission said that the state government should get 42%, then the government started collecting through cess and surcharges route, because Government of India is under no obligation to share the revenues from cesses and surcharges. And as we have seen, that rupee goes also has shown the state government share coming down. So finally, the growth, development, inclusive growth by the spending of the government, which includes the state, and restricted spending by the central government and the restricted spending by the state governments, ultimately are not going to yield the desired results. So in one word, the budget is disappointing. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. If you have already subscribed to it. If not, please do subscribe. It's free. Please click on that subscribe button below this video. After that, please click on that bell icon, whereby you will get the notifications as and when I upload a fresh video to this. Thank you.